Hello and welcome to this episode of the English Verbs series. In this video we're looking at the word own. So to begin with then, the forms as they are written: to own, owned, owned, owning, owns. Now I've put that exclamation mark next to the ing form because this is one of those verbs in English where we don't really make standard continuous constructions. So I wouldn't say something like, I am owning this pen. That feels really strange because what we're talking about is a state. However, as you'll see in the examples later, it does arrive in some of those timeless constructions. So I'll give you a couple of examples, but the exclamation mark is there just to remind you, don't say I am owning something. I own the thing. So let's have a look at the pronunciation. So we've got that nice double vowel O, and what you need to do is have some movement in your mouth. We've got two positions because this is a double vowel. O, O. So you should feel a rounding, a movement of the mouth. The basic form ends in a N sound, so own, and we want that to be happening up in the nose. As a consequence of that N ending, our ED form that is written is actually pronounced just by adding a D sound. So it's owned, owned. As always, we've got that ing form, so it's owning. But remember, be cautious about when we use that. And then the S, third person S, because of the N, is actually a Z sound, so we pronounce it owns, owns. So to whiz through those again one more time: own, owned, owned, owning, owns. So a few examples then. She owned up to making the mistake. I've slipped in a cheeky phrasal there just to have some different examples because owning really is usually about possession. But here, owned up to making a mistake means she admitted it. He owned his own house by the age of 21. So both of these things happened in the past at some point. I have owned this car for 3 years already. So we've got the I have, and the 3 years literally dates back 3 years from this point, from the point of speaking. Have you ever owned your own house? So it's really common for us to see this word ever used in sentences with present perfect. Have you ever done something? Allows me to think back across my entire lifetime. So those ing forms that I mentioned earlier. I can't see him owning that car for long. So in this example, we know he owns the car. The I can't see is me thinking, me imagining about his situation. So I can't see that he will own the car for long is the meaning of this construction. I have always dreamed of owning my own apartment. So I've always had this idea that I would own my own apartment. So these are two examples of where we can get this ing word into a sentence, but we're not combining it with the be verb like we would in an ordinary, say, present continuous construction. So just be cautious with using the word owning. And owns. She owns a really big collection of records. He thinks he owns this place. Now, in the first one, it's a possession. She simply has a record collection that's rather large. That second example, he thinks he owns this place. We would have probably a slightly sarcastic tone of voice if this was said in context. So I'm talking about somebody, I'm criticizing them, basically, if I say this sentence. So just as a review then, we've got to own, owned, owned, owning, owns. I hope you found that useful. If you did, then feel free to hit like and subscribe to the channel. And if you check out the rest of the playlist, there are plenty of other verbs to work through. The verbs which fall into this kind of category that I've been presenting in this series are all taken from the Longman top 3,000 words in English. So what that means is that we're focusing on really high frequency vocabulary in this particular playlist. So if you haven't already, check out the homepage. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.